Make that a 2-0 Monday. That's 3 of 4 days now, guys, out of the All-Star break, winning days. And you guys know we're going to keep on breaking down the card for you guys today. Really quick, if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button below. Drop a like, drop a comment, help us grow this thing. John, Nationals, Rangers, get it done yesterday. A couple of plus money winners to start the week.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you guys right off the bat, I'm coming right back with both those teams today. We'll go into it, but yeah, that's 3 out of 4 days to the plus side. We get it done with dogs. 2 more dogs yesterday. Let's start breaking down this card. Let's stay hot.
Let's dive in, guys. 4 bets already out today, like John said, coming back on those 2 sides. This first game we have Brewers at Philly. Big prize here for the Phillies in this matchup. Brewers coming off the 3-game sweep against Cincy. They're 9-3 their last 12. And Phillies, they took the last 3 against San Diego. They're 12-5 their last 17. A couple of teams playing well right now. Teheran versus Nola. Teheran hasn't pitched since the 3rd. He was crushed his last 2 starts. He was terrific at the start, 2-2, 1.53 in first 6 starts back. And then last 2 starts, 13 runs, 4 homers. So he's been getting roughed up last 2 times out. And Nola, he's been decent. Just hasn't been good, hasn't been great. Last time out, gave up 5 runs, 4 earned in 6 innings versus Miami. Did dominate the Brewers last year, 15 shutout innings in 2 starts. So we'll see if there's any carryover from that. But he's been a bit of a different pitcher this season. I know we talked about it on Instagram Live yesterday, John. This Phillies team, they have the pitching. Their best pitchers aren't pitching like their best pitchers, Nola and Wheeler. And so we'll see if Nola gets that today. But I don't think it's warranted with this price here in this game.
And he might come up with another big game as he did last year. But 4 of his last 6 games, he's given up 4 or more runs in those games. Look, he's definitely still got a big pitching advantage, and Philly's a better team. But this number is crazy. This is a 200 favorite on the Milwaukee Brewers, who lead the NL Central, coming off a sweep of the Reds after the All-Star break, won 5 or 6 because they played the prior and after. A huge number. Even if there's a little letdown here, look, Teheran, he came back pitching. It was impossible to keep up those numbers. And he's got absolutely crushed his last 2 times. Now he hasn't pitched in 2 weeks. All the things say bet Philly. And at $1.50 maybe, but not at 200. At this number, you got to take a shot with the Brewers, even though, like I said, still with a pitching mismatch with Nola. But Nola, like I said, that the only 2 of his last 6 have been quality starts. If Teheran can keep them in the game, it's worth the price at plus 185.
Yeah, I know you and I both agree that we think Milwaukee's going to pull away with the Central, but this could potentially have some wild card implications to it as well, depending on if Cincy catches. So we'll see how this matchup plays out. Next one, John, Giants at Cincy. So we're going to have that game continued from last night, 2-2 ball game. It was 2 on, 2nd and 3rd, top of the 8th, rained out. So that's going to get continued on. And then we'll have game 2, which will be Desclafani versus Weaver. Weaver might be the luckiest pitcher in the history of baseball. I just don't understand it. They've won his last 8 starts as he's had an 8.66 ERA in those 8 starts. The last one, gave up 5 runs, 2 homers, 3 2/3. They still won that game, 8-5 at Milwaukee. Desclafani, he's returning from the IL with a shoulder issue. This is an over or nothing game for me. I see Weaver in the box. Eyes just had to light up over. He gets more run support than anybody in baseball. He gives up runs more than anybody in baseball. This is over or nothing. And then slightly leaning to the Reds. They keep winning with him on the mound. I think it was 2 starts ago. I told you, John, the Weaver trend has to break at some point. He can't keep winning. He keeps winning.
At some point, it's got to break. And the only thing is the over as far as the total. Don't know if I want to go there. I'm not a total guy anyway. That's more Ben's field. But Reds, since the break, even since before the break, they ran into the Brewers, and the Brewers own them. So they got shut out in 3 or 4 games and then scored 3 runs. They're hitting $111 coming into the suspended game, about $117 in their last 4 games coming into the suspended game. So they're not getting the job done with the bats. But yeah, you got, like I said, Desclafani coming off the IL, Weaver, who just gets absolutely slaughtered every time out. It just seems that the Reds score enough runs. Well, they're not scoring a lot of runs now. San Fran's a road favorite with a pitcher coming off the IL, but the price is right.
Then we have an interesting NL matchup, D-backs at Atlanta. Would have been a bit more interesting a few weeks ago. D-backs nice cold right now. They've dropped 4 straight, 2-8 their last 10. Meanwhile, this Atlanta team, they've now dropped 3 of 4. They dropped 2 of 3 against the White Sox coming out of the break here. Due for a little bit of regression, maybe. We'll see if they continue to go on some woes. A couple of times they've gone on some losing streaks this year. They've lost games in 4 or 5 game stretches. We'll see if that continues. They do have the pitching edge today. Elder versus Davies. D-backs, they've lost 6 straight of Davies starts. Meanwhile, Elder coming off a bad start, 7 runs in 3 1/3, 4 walks, 0 Ks. That's very concerning. Prior to that, though, 4 straight quality starts. He gets the pitching edge still, even coming off the rough start. We'll see if he gets his command back. Don't want to be laying the Braves right now as a 200 favorite. I think there's some regression there. Definitely for the last month and a half, there's a lot of value in laying the Braves as a favorite time in, time out. Just don't see it this go around. So this would be a slight lean here to the D-backs, not looking to get on the back of Davies here in a nice cold Arizona team against the best team in baseball. Just think Atlanta might be regressing as we speak.
Now, I feel exactly how Ben feels, but that's not how the Sharps feel because they've buried the Diamondbacks in this game. This game opened 225, and now you're down to 181, 182. But I just don't want D-backs. They're a dropping knife. Not only are they a dropping knife, Davies pitching against Elder is a mismatch. Elder, you had a bad game his last time out, but he'd been rock solid prior to that. I almost think here's a spot. Braves get right after losing 2 of 3. They've pretty much owned this series, winning 6 of the last 7 and all 3 in Atlanta last year, 2 of 3 in Arizona this year. No way do I want to take this price. If there was a price to take, obviously it was the plus 200 on the overnight. That price is long gone. No value in Arizona at plus 165.
Then Marlins at St. Louis. Cards get the win last night, 6-4. They've been playing pretty decent ball. 5 of 6 now they've won, 3 straight here out of the break, scoring 7 runs per game, hitting 329 since the All-Star break. And Miami, they're starting to go on their little woes. They have lost all 4 since the All-Star break. One of these teams right there with D-backs and, it was Texas. Texas kind of flipped it around a little bit as far as big hot start. They were falling off a little bit and can't back the Marlins today. It's Cabrera on the mound. First start since going on the IL. You guys know how we feel about backing pitchers coming off the IL. Not looking to do that. He's been rough on the road. 0-5, 6.50 ERA. Meanwhile, Montgomery, he's been pretty spectacular. He had a hammy issue last time out. 1 run and 4 1/3. Prior to that, 5 straight quality starts. This to me is St. Louis or nobody. We keep talking about, are they turning around? Are they turning around? Bats are going right now, playing decent baseball. Marlins trending the opposite direction. Montgomery been pitching well. This is St. Louis or nobody for me, John.
Yep. 2 teams that flipped the switch. Marlins were playing over their head. Cardinals playing underneath where they should be playing. All of a sudden going into the break and now coming out. Here come Cardinals coming up. Marlins coming down. Marlins now, I believe, have lost 7 straight on the road. As Ben gave you the stat, Cards are finally hitting 7 runs a game, batting .329 since the break. And the only thing that worries me here is Montgomery leaving his last start early with the hamstring. Cabrera coming back off the IL. He pitched in didn't even have a rehab start, a 5-inning simulated start. So everything looking for the Cardinals in this way. But again, got to be careful. Montgomery was pitching great headed into that last game where he had the hammy issue. Mm-hmm. But Cardinals or nobody. Just worried about that hamstring.
Then it's Nats at the Cubs. Talked about it already at the start. Coming back on this side with the Nats after their win last night, beat them 7-5. They've won 4 or 5 meetings this season. Washington, they've been having some success on the road, 8-4 their last 12 road games. Meanwhile, you have this Cubbies team that dropped 9 of the last 11 at home. 2 teams trending opposite directions a little bit. Corbin versus Tejon. Tejon coming off his best start this year, held the Yankees to 1 hit, 8 shutout innings. Prior to that, really bad, 15 runs and 15 1/3. Did give up 3 runs and a loss to the Nats over this year in just 3 innings. This is Corbin. He's been pitching a bit better lately. 2 of his last 3 starts, quality starts. Pitching edge, Nationals, road edge, Nationals. This is Nationals in every way, John. You said you're already coming back here.
Absolutely. This is another insane price. Look, Phillies should beat the Brewers, and the Cubs should beat the Nationals, but not at these prices, and that's what we bet. We're betting the price. So this game, we took $1.50. As Ben said, look at their records. Nationals with a better road record than the Cubs are at home. Cubs are tied with the Rockies and Pirates for third worst road home record in the National League, and as Ben said, have dropped 9 of 11. Taillon pitched great against the Yankees in his last time out, his old team. 8 shutout innings. That was just his second quality start this year, and just the second time he's reached 6 innings. Corbin, he was getting mutilated last year, but his rep is worse than he is. He actually has 10 quality starts, leads the Nationals with 10 quality starts. Now, out of 67 pitchers that qualify, he does have the worst whip in Major League Baseball, but he seems to get the job done in at least more than half of his games. This line cannot be Nationals taking plus 150 with the Cubs team that just cannot win, and a National team that just seems to keep getting it done on the road. I'm on the Nationals.
Yeah, Corbin similar to Gilbert, and where you kind of get 0 or 100. I mean, with Gilbert, you get that 100 more often than not, but still, nonetheless, he does give you those quality starts.
Last game against the Texas Rangers, 1 run in 7 innings against the best offense in baseball. So he can get it done. Got to go with the Nationals at the overlay. It's a big price. They keep winning on the road. Cubs, their season's over. I think they're ready to go for, start to be sellers. I'm on Washington.
And the other free bet, the other side, we're coming right back with Texas today. Eovaldi versus Bradley. Rangers get the win last night. They've now split 4 meetings this year, split the last 4 in Texas. You have Bradley versus Eovaldi. Bradley, last 3 times out, just horrible. 16 runs, 6 homers, and 12 in the third. Now he has to go against the best offense in baseball, who already put up 5 runs and 3 2/3 versus him earlier this year. And meanwhile, Eovaldi, not as dominant as he was earlier this season, but still pitching pretty well. Coming off a bit of a rough start against Boston, 4 runs and 5 in the third. Prior to that, though, 7 shutout innings versus the Stros. Did have a win against Tampa Bay earlier this year. This is just a pitching mismatch and a little bit hot versus cold. This Tampa Bay team heading into the break were cold, just 2-2 since then, and has to be Texas or nobody, John.
You get feels. I've been in this business over 40 years, I tell you guys that, and you just see the way Texas, they win Sunday against Cleveland with an explosion in the 8th. They come back, tie up. They were down 2-0 the whole game. They tie it up last night. They win it with a walk-off wild pitch. So while they're coming up, here's Tampa Bay coming down. And Tampa Bay's been coming down for a while. They're in a bit of a slide. Excuse me, guys, with these allergies. They're just killing me. I'm up in Connecticut today, surrounded by woods. Tampa Bay now scoring just 4 runs per game, hitting .233 since the break, 3-9 their last 12. They're finding ways to lose. Rangers finding ways to win. As Ben said, this is a pitching mismatch. Yes, Eovaldi's not the same pitcher he was early in the year. Still 7th in the league in ERA, 4th in WHIP with a 102 WHIP, a 102 or 103 WHIP. This was a cheap number. We thought yesterday didn't see McClanahan being favored, especially his first night back. So with this number, with a pitching mismatch, Texas has got to be a bigger favorite. I laid Texas minus 130. This line is actually down to 126 if it goes lower, because we made this a 1-unit bet earlier. If it goes any lower, I'll make it a higher bet.
Yeah, very interesting in the AL West there. Astros right now 3.5 games back. We talked about it yesterday, I think, with the Guardians and the Twins, where they kind of had a mismatch, tough schedule, easy schedule. And that's what it is right now with Texas. They have Tampa Bay and the Dodgers next. Meanwhile, Houston gets Colorado and Oakland, worst NL, worst AL team. And then they have a series after each of those in 6 games. So we'll see if this is, standings-wise a little bit. Texas needs to hold their own against Tampa Bay before that series coming up with Houston in a little bit. Then we have Tigers at Kansas City. Tigers get the win last night. They've now won 10 of the last 13 meetings, 5 of 7 at Kansas City. It's going to be Skewball versus Lynch. Skewball, just 2 starts since returning. Each of them went 4 shutout innings and just 2 hits there, 11 Ks, 2 walks. He's been solid. Did struggle a little bit with KC last year, 0-2, 4.96 in 3 starts. And Lynch, he's been very good. 3 of his last 4 starts are quality starts. Last 2, 6 runs and 11 innings. Did have 7 shutout innings versus the Tigers earlier this year, but has had reverse splits, worse at home, 6.04 ERA. Tough to go with Kansas City in this one. Lynch has been a guy I like to back, but not loving him at home, obviously, with those. KC was the second worst home team in baseball, and the struggles there. Tigers still in contention for this division. And with that, you got to beat up on Kansas City. The ownership trends there. We need a bit less on this price to get on Detroit, but Tigers are nobody.
Yes, Tigers are nobody, but I just don't make this number high. Very tough to get the Tigers to be a 150 favorite on the road. And I know, actually, this game has gone higher now. Look at this. It's up to 160 now. Look, Scooble's been nice since coming back, but he's only gone 4 innings in each. Maybe they'll try and stretch him out a little bit more today. And you do have Salvi Perez. He missed yesterday. He's probably going to miss another day or two, at least. But yeah, just a big number, even though KC is a terrible team. I'm not going to call them the worst team. That honor belongs to Oakland. I'll give you some stats on Oakland. But big number. Don't want KC in this spot. But no way do I want to lay this with a pitcher. That max is going to go 5 innings, 80 pitches or so. They're going to be real careful with Scooble. So, yeah, don't want to get KC, but no way in the world. It's still an overlay. You're paying for the price for Detroit.
Yeah, it could be an under game there. Low scoring yesterday, and a couple of pitchers going decent.
Two of the lowest scoring teams in baseball. The Tigers are 28th in scoring, and KC's 29th.
Yep, so could definitely be an under game. Then we have Yankees at Angels. Angels walk it off last night, 4-3 win. Ohtani with the big game-tying home run he had last night. He's still on a tear. Herman versus Sandoval. Herman had the perfect game, got roughed up, and then coming up back with a quality start, 1 earned run in 6 innings and a loss to the Cubbies. Did face the Angels in 21, gave up 3 runs there. And Sandoval, last time out, 2 runs in 5 innings against the Padres. Prior to that, was getting roughed up a bit. Yankees roughed him up earlier this year for 5 runs in 4 innings. 2 pitchers, Herman, going to give him the edge right now, but not very big. Prior to these couple of quality starts, he's getting really roughed up. So this is tough to get in him. Can't back this Yankees team right now. They've lost 7 of 9. This Angels team not playing much better. 3-11 their last 14. Bats doing better since the All-Star break. But game I'm just staying away from. Similar to yesterday's pitching matchup, just tough to really have an edge on either side.
Yeah, neither team playing well at all. Yankees, we keep telling you guys every single day. So here's today's stats. Now 20, and the Yankees 20 and 26, scoring 3.78 runs a game, hitting .222 without Aaron Judge in the lineup. And with no Judge, this team is not a playoff team. They're not even a 500 team, as example, by their record. What you do have to watch out for, if you guys watched the game last night, you might have caught Ohtani swing and miss at a pitch and kind of wince. If there's talking about trading and stuff, you don't want to hurt Ohtani. So you got to see if Ohtani's in the lineup. I mean, him being in the lineup means as much or more than Judge being in the lineup for the Yankees, especially at this point, because Trout's not in the lineup, Rendon's not in the lineup. They're missing a bunch of players. So we'll be on the lookout for that. Right now, if Ohtani's in, this is about the price on the game. It's a pickish type of game. 2 dog teams right now, both going nowhere. If Yankees don't get Judge back, their season's over. Angels, I think they know their season's over. It's just a matter of do they get rid of Ohtani.
Yeah, I believe he's due up in the rotation for tomorrow as well. They haven't put him in the box yet officially either, but just maybe another reason he could get the day off with that little issue. We'll see if that continues. And it's Boston at Oakland. They just own this matchup. 10 of 11 meetings. They're red hot right now. 11-2 their last 13. Oakland's lost 8 straight. Still no pitcher in the box for the Red Sox. Going to be Medina for Oakland. Doesn't matter who's in the box for the Red Sox. It's them on the run line or nothing. They're own this matchup, hot versus cold, and they've been playing well since before the break. They're making their way up in the AL wild card. This is them or nobody. Can't touch Oakland.
Oakland's bad. Red Sox didn't announce a pitch until, 5 o'clock last night. They started with Berdimino or whatever his name is. Pavetta followed. The A's got 1 hit and struck out 18 times in a bullpen game. They're just finding new heights to reach to be terrible. Red Sox own them. Medina's horrible. I think me and Ben could do a bullpen game and somehow beat them. For the Red Sox, Devers did not play last night. That was the one thing that kept us off the game. Probably shouldn't have. But with him out, but they're still crushing the ball right now. 7.75 runs a game, 297 since the break. The Red Sox want to get to the playoffs. Yankees are down. Angels are out of it. They're right there. They're on the cusp. They need to get W's against a team like the A's, the worst team in baseball, and they should get it today. We'll wait for the pitches, though. There's not even a line on this game.
Then Twins at Seattle. I liked the Twins last night. They didn't get it done. Blew that lead there. Seattle almost blew it late, actually.
Yeah.
And it was Aubert versus Wu today. Aubert been very good. 5 straight quality starts, both in July, just 1 run in 13 innings against the Orioles in both of those. And Wu, 6 career starts, last 2, both quality starts, 4 runs in 12 innings. He's been pitching better. He got really roughed up in his debut, but since then has been pitching very solid. The Seattle team, 2-2 since the break. Twins, they won 3 or 4 since the break. This game to me is Minnesota. They're getting a road dog here with the pitching edge, and Aubert, he's been very good. He's been good on the road as well. Can't get back here with Seattle. We'll see what the Seattle offense does. I'm interested to see if they turn that leaf. They had the issues offensively in the first half. Pitching, they might have the deepest rotation in baseball. They just haven't been able to get it done with the bat. So it could be another under game here. Yesterday, a bit more high scoring. I expect that to be different tonight.
Yeah, Mariners are getting the money, and this line opened up -1.25. Right now, you're looking at anywhere from -130 at circa to -135. It's sports 411. It goes any higher, it's going to force me to make a bet on Minnesota. I talked about it yesterday. I wasn't thrilled with Minnesota. All they did was they beat an Oakland team who's the worst team in baseball. They swept those 3 games. But now they lose last night while Cleveland beats the Pirates. This has been going on for a few weeks now. Many get somebody soft. Cleveland gets somebody hard. Many takes first place by a couple of games. Then they reverse it. Cleveland comes back. So Cleveland's got the Pirates, although they'll have a little tougher time. We'll talk about that game with Keller tonight. While Minnie's going to have another tough game tonight. Yeah, they came back to 7-6. They were down 7-3, and they lose that game last night. Give Ober the pitching edge, but Wu has been nice. Hasn't allowed more than 2 runs in any start since his first start. Granted, he's not going that deep into games, but this number, it just makes sense. If it goes any higher, I'll be on Minnie.
Then Guardians at Pirates, as you were mentioning, they're going to be Keller on the mound today. Weird game to get a read on. You have this Cleveland team who, kind of like similar to Boston, need to take advantage of a cold Pittsburgh team and take care of business. But Guardians, they were cold prior to the game last night. They did crush them 11-zip. We'll see if that kind of snaps them out of it. Their bats were hot before the break. Allen versus Keller. Allen was doing decent in the leagues. They sent him back down, brought him back up. Don't love when you mess with a pitcher like that. We'll see how it treats him. Prior 2 starts before going back down, just 7 2/3, but shutout innings against KC and Oakland. So didn't go deep, but didn't allow the worst teams in baseball to score. So take that for what you will. And Keller, last time out, 1 hit and 7 shutout innings versus the D-backs. Did have 5 walks. He gets the pitching edge in this matchup. This is just a tough read. Guardians need it, obviously. They have more implications here playoff-wise. So lean there for Cleveland in that sake, but Keller does have the pitching advantage here. I just don't know if it matters with this Pittsburgh offense, which has just been anemic the last month and a half.
Brutal. Full of knife again here. Now what? 11 of 13. Lost all 4 since the break, scoring 2.25 runs a game, hitting 206. That offense not going to get it done. I don't care who's pitching. Keller, yeah, he's been real nice. Keller now 2.16 ERA his last 4 starts, 2.63 and 8 home starts. But yeah, Guardians pounded out the ball yesterday. They'll come in hitting. Just can't get on this Pirate squad. The line is a pick 'em. I do make the Pirates a favorite. Just can't get on them. Just can't do nothing but lose right now.
Yep, team definitely falling knife. Then we have 2 of the hot teams in baseball, Dodgers and Baltimore. Orioles, they snapped the 8-game win streak. Meanwhile, Dodgers 7-1 their last 8. 2 teams playing well right now. Baltimore, 1 game back of Tampa Bay. Win today gets them into that tied up there. So big game for them today. And you got to like the pitching matchup for it. It's Ace versus the 5th man in rotation for the Dodgers and Grove. Grove, last 2 starts, 5 runs in 10 innings. He has an 11-point ERA on the road in just 4 outings. And Wells leads MLB in whip. 5 of his last 6 starts are quality starts. This is Ace on the mound versus their 5th man rotation. A chance to get first place in the division. Give me Baltimore, John.
Yeah, it's Baltimore, nobody for me. Grove's horrible and even worse on the road. Wells pitching good baseball. Dodgers got them last night. Orioles were red hot, had an 8-game winning streak going into that game. Low number here. Dodgers overvalued as usual. Just a couple of games over 500 on the road this year. Baltimore, If they win and Tampa Bay loses, they're actually in first place by percentage points because they have one less loss. So just Baltimore getting no respect. Dodgers getting too much respect. Pitching mismatch. Baltimore's the home team. They're the better team at home than the Dodgers are on the road. They got to be more than $1.20 favorite.
Absolutely. And we'll see if Baltimore can catch Tampa Bay today. Then it's San Diego at Toronto. And this is the most fascinating game on the card for me. It's Musgrove versus Manoah. Question is Manoah back? Comes back, quality start, but against Detroit. 1 run in 6 innings there, 8 Ks, no walks. Looks solid. What are we going to get from him today against a Padres lineup who's kind of woken up a little bit? They did drop 3 or 4 against Philly, but they were scoring 5.5 runs per game. Just 3-12 their last 15 road games. And Musgrove going, who's been terrific. 8 of his last 9 starts, quality starts, 7-0, 1.80 in that stretch. Got to give him the pitching advantage here. Manoah's really struggling in Toronto earlier this year. Want to bet the Padres in this spot. Numbers going a bit too high. And if Manoah, I talked about this before, his start against Detroit, if he is back to form, you could argue he's just an underpriced ace right now. So there's also that way of looking at it in this game. Slightly in here to the Padres, just the way Musgrove's going, but have a hard time backing them as a road favorite.
Sharps have buried the Padres in this one. The overnight was 110. Padres 110. They're up now around 126 to 129. Toronto made it as easy as possible for Manoah the last game. Jumped out to a huge lead on Detroit, and all he had to do was throw strikes. He did, and they come away with a 12-2 win. I don't believe it's going to be that easy against the Padres. Although the Padres, just when you think they're turning around, they came into the All-Star break, winning 5 of 6. They won the first one with the Phillies, then go on to lose the next 3. Pitching, yeah, you want to say Musgrove, pitching mismatch, especially the way Manoah has pitched and pitched at home. What Manoah are we going to get? Are we going to get the Manoah from prior to getting sent out to the minor leagues, or what we saw yesterday? My guess is we're going to get something in the middle. Musgrove gets the pitching edge, but Toronto's red hot, especially at home. Toronto now 8 of 9 at home, scoring 6.63 runs per game and hitting .364 since the break. Tough to go against those numbers at home as a home dog. I lean to Toronto. Just don't know if I want to pull the trigger on Manoah.
I'll see where that number keeps climbing to. Yeah, tough to get a read there. We'll see what's up with Manoah if he is back to form. And that'll make that playoff race in the East very interesting if they get another ace in the mix, if he can come back to what he was last season. So we'll see what goes on with him there. Then we have White Sox.
Now, Guzman missed his last start. He was a late scratch the other day. Guzman, Bassett, he has a couple of good ones, and he gets torched in a couple. So they're going to need Manoah to get back if they want to be serious challengers.
Then White Sox at Mets. White Sox taking 2 of 3 against Atlanta. Impressive there. Meanwhile, the Mets that beat the Dodgers on Sunday. It snaps the 4-game losing streak. Giolito versus Carrasco. Carrasco coming off his best start this year. 3 hits, 8 shutout innings against the D-backs. Prior to that, they lost all 5 of his June starts. He had a 6.23 ERA. And Giolito, both July starts, quality starts for him. He has had some road struggles, and he's probably going to be on the block here. So this is coming up on his last start in the White Sox, probably 2 more under the belt here. So we'll see what happens with him at the deadline. Want the White Sox and Giolito here. Carrasco's been worse at home, maybe a little bit let down there, but I just can't back the White Sox coming off that series against Atlanta. You take 2 of 3 against the hottest, best team in baseball. Can only imagine a little bit of a letdown factor. So we'll see if there's anything left from that. Slightly in here to Chicago, just that letdown factor keeps me away here.
Yeah, Giolito, probably one of the most talked about pitchers for trades. Carrasco came up with a gem at Arizona, but you could see that just was at the point where Arizona started their slide and has continued their slide. Numbers a little high just because Giolito's been nice, but not so good on the road. White Sox, they'll be without Jimenez today. Mets need W's if they think they're in this thing. I don't think they are. I think the price may be just a couple of pennies too high. Nothing to get excited about. Nothing to want me to be on the White Sox, who are sellers against the team that's trying to figure out if they're going to be sellers.
Then last game on the card, Astros at Rockies. Still waiting for the Rockies to put a pitcher in the box. It's going to be Brown here for the Astros. Last 2 starts, gave up 8 runs in 7 innings. Been struggling a little bit. this Astros team, they own this matchup. They've won 13 of the last 15 meetings, and they're, like we talked about beforehand, they are currently 3.5 games back of Texas. They get 2 games with Colorado, worst NL team. Then they get 4 games with Oakland, worst AL team. You really got to take advantage if you're the Astros heading in 6 games to that Texas series. So even with Brown struggling lately, going on the road to Coors, don't know who's in the box yet for Colorado. Typically, it's probably want to avoid just the series read, standings read, everything else. This series means a lot to Houston, so the Astros are no one for me.
Yeah, well, we got to see who Colorado has in the box, obviously. But Brown's been really roughed up. His last 4 starts, 0-3, 7.23 ERA. Colorado, Coors Field, not the place you want to be when you're struggling like that. Astros, Alvarez and Altuve have already started rehab assignments, so we'll see when they get back. I haven't had a word on them, but I'm looking for that. Yeah, it's Houston and nobody, regardless of Brown's stats, of who the Colorado's going to pitch. Just games Houston needs to win, and they own this matchup. So we'll talk about that once we get a line and a pitcher.
Yeah, it could also be an over spot there. I mean, depending on who Colorado puts in the box, but Rockies were putting up runs there a little bit against the Yankees and Astros in that Angels series. I mean, the bats were crushing already. So put a Brown in there, pitcher struggling. Could be a matchup. We see a lot of runs tonight. But that's the card, John. 4 bets out today. Give you guys 2 of those. If you guys want the rest of them, you guys know where to go. Sign up on howtobeatthebookie.com or download the app. You guys get all the information. The pitchers who have been announced, injury updates, lineups, game previews, and, of course, John's bets and his ratings. You'll get those there. John, 2-0 Monday, 3 of 4 winning days out of the All-Star break. Let's keep it rolling.
This is our time of year, guys, and this is a perfect day. Why you want to become a member. You've got 2 games that haven't announced the pitcher yet. Lineups, as we talked about, Altuve, Jordan Alvarez, are they coming back today? Will it be tomorrow? You look some other lineups. Right up until game time, there's changes. If there's a change, you know about it. If a player's in, he scratched at the last moment. We're on top of everything. How to Beat the Bookie. It's the only place you want to be to get your sports betting information.
Make sure you guys tune in here. Going to have these up weekly, Monday through Friday, 1 o'clock Eastern. We go live on Instagram at 12 Eastern. So make sure you guys go check that out. John, let's make some money.
Let's make some money.